Franklin Planning Board, December 9th, 2024 meeting. This meeting is audio and video recorded, and it's also on Zoom. And the Zoom calling number is 312-626-6799, and the meeting number is 956-481-95932. We're going to take care of some general business first. Our first item of business would be final Form H for 839 Union Street. And actually, that should be a partial. So if I could go to Amy, please, the Department Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep, the applicant, they were approved back in June 2022 to construct a 42,750 square foot industrial building with the park and landscaping and stormwater management. The applicant has submitted a partial Form H to get a temporary occupancy, and that Beta has been out there and has provided a comment letter. I believe Matt is online.
Yep. Good evening, Matt. Matt, if I could go to you for 839 Upper Union Street, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I visited the site a couple of times over the past month or so. I have a pretty short list of outstanding items just for the board's information. So they haven't installed the concrete curbing out there. They do have the temporary bituminous berm along the binder course, so that shouldn't be an issue as stormwater will be controlled. They do need to install siding and striping throughout the site. I did have two comments that I'll defer to the town engineer on because they are within the town right away. They provided some temporary HMA ramps up to the concrete ramps on the sidewalk at the front of the site. They do look like, they could be subject to some plow damage, but I defer to Mike just to confirm they're in line with the town typically sees in a temporary condition. The other thing that I noted is there's an existing utility pole within the new sidewalk along the site frontage. It does look like there may be some minimal clearance around that utility pole. So again, defer to Mike to make sure it meets the town's ADA clearances that they need. The contractor did send me some photos from today, which show that some of the items listed in my report have been completed, which includes the completion of the site lighting. They have installed catch basin hoods, and they do have the chain link fencing on top of all of the retaining walls. On the Form H, they also listed that guardrail needed to be completed, which has been done, and they do have the landscaping partially done as well. I believe the contractor is on the call. I see Matthew Clark. I think he was going to be able to provide some context for some of the outstanding items, but that is all Beta has at this moment. If you have any, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Matt. I guess Matt, before I go to you, I'll go to Mike from DPW. Mike, if you want to chime in, please.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in regards to the wheelchair ramps with the temporary asphalt in front of it, what's there now is okay. If it does get damaged over the winter, just something they're gonna have to maintain. The top course of asphalt's not in place, so this is a temporary measure. I'm okay with it as long as it's being maintained and there's not a trip hazard that develops with plows or picking up or anything like that. And then in regards to the utility pole on the sidewalk, I did go out there and measure that. It does meet the absolute minimum clearance around the utility pole at the rear of the pole there. It would have been, I think it would have been good if they were able to create that transition to the wider section sidewalk, another panel or two back, just to do a bigger taper, so make it a little easier for people to walk around that. Would have been a little bit better, but it does technically meet the minimum right now. But if that's something they can maybe do, maybe add some width of the concrete slab there. Not necessarily rip up the concrete, but add a panel.
Just drill it and bend it and add a little bit more.
It would, I think that'd be a better situation. And that was all I had, yes. Matt covered the rest of it.
I'll go to the board first. Anybody have any comments, questions? No? All good? Go to the applicant, Matt. You're okay with maybe adding on to that sidewalk for the handicap just in the future? And,
yeah, but we have some other concrete, so we'll get that taken care of it
okay.
by the spring.
And all the fencing's up on the retaining wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you're comfortable with the partial release on this?
Yes, I think the biggest thing was the fall protection on those retaining walls, and the photo sent shows it all completed. So I don't see any issue with the partial.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make a motion to accept the partial Form H for 839 Upper Union Street. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item of business, this would be for 81P for Bent Street. If I could go to Amy, please, Department of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They've submitted a plan for an 81P to, they're actually just taking off a portion of the adjoining lot, adding on, they didn't have enough depth to make the lot buildable. Both lots do meet our current zoning regulations, so as it is on the plans, they show a parcel F and parcel E, which they're taking a little bit of that to form parcel 11.
We had this one in front of us, what, about a year and a half, 2 years ago?
We did,
This
we
is
did,
just tweaking it to make it
and
work.
unfortunately, they had not, taken enough land when they did do that to make it the parcel to be buildable, so they had to take a little bit more land to make it
So
buildable.
this is just to make that.
It was the depth, and, technically with our A&R plans, we're only to look at the frontage and the size of the lot. We don't look at the depth and all the other zoning regulations in it, so they needed more depth to, make this a buildable lot.
Okay. Goes board, anybody have any comments, questions? No? I'll make a motion to approve the 81P for Bent Street. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna skip over general business C, because I'm gonna tie that to the Spring Street job, so then I'm gonna go to, letter D, which would be field change for 704, Washington Street. If I could go to Amy, please, Department of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably will refer to, Matt with Beta on this one. But they're just looking to change from concrete to asphalt their sidewalks along the two houses that they are building. I'm comfortable with it. I actually would defer to Mike Bagler as well. I don't think, it should be too much to make that change, so I'll defer to both of them.
Okay. Matt, if I could get your thoughts on this
Sure,
one?
yes. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yes, the contractor did put in a request to want to change the internal site sidewalks from the proposed concrete walks over to bituminous. He was going to keep the ramps from the parking lot as concrete just for being able to provide ADA grades. We didn't see it as an issue from an engineering standpoint, but since it's a material change that'd be quite noticeable, we wanted the board to be able to weigh in on it. One other thing to note that I advised the contractor he might want to bring to the board's attention is the site driveway itself. He does have the curbing installed, but the reveal is actually quite low at the front of the site as it relates to just the binder course going in. Once the top course is in, the reveal is going to vary from about flush at the beginning of the site to the full reveal once you get to the parking spaces. We don't see this as a safety issue, and it's not going to cause any issues with stormwater. But again, it wasn't quite meeting up with the plan, so we thought it'd be great to have the board weigh in before they go out and put the top course on it.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or somebody representing the applicant here? If you want to just approach the desk here and give your name and company, please. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm Andy Armington. I work for Amigo. I'm also the GC for this project.
I guess my big question is, and I'm sure the board knows, why the change from concrete to pavement?
Well, there's a little bit of a cost benefit with asphalt, over concrete. And then just because of the people that we serve, we tend to use a lot of ice melt, and the ice melt tends to deteriorate the concrete more so than asphalt. Asphalt's a little more forgiving. So I think it would be better for us from a maintenance standpoint to keep it asphalt instead of concrete.
Anybody from the board have any comments or questions?
I don't
Okay.
have an issue,
What's up?
and I don't have an issue with it.
What's on the previous site? Concrete, isn't it?
We do have concrete. We're already starting to get a little bit of pitting and stuff from the rock salt, you know.
What's your thoughts?
My only recommendation would be use not rock salt, use something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other melting agents.
There are. They're all generally fairly corrosive to concrete though, unfortunately.
Chris, Mike?
I don't have any
Thoughts?
comments, no, I don't have any. I think my only issue is, I guess, is if going with the asphalt, sure, the pitting on the concrete, the asphalt, you could get frost heaves and other things that would have to be replaced or repaired.
Yeah, I agree. I personally put the base material in, so we put, you know, we put a lot of processed gravel in where these walkways are gonna go, fully compacted. We got great drainage. You know, as a contractor with experience with both asphalt and concrete installations, I think it's a lot easier for us as an organization to change or to make repairs to asphalt than it is to concrete, you know, in the future if we have to adjust anything or anything gets damaged.
Me personally, I'd like to match the existing site, just because I think for the longevity, and, I mean, that's what we approved the first time around the block. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, but
My
I think,
concern,
I think you're gonna have a longer durable product with the concrete all the time, and like Jay said, if you just use a different, excuse me, type of ice melt, you're gonna get longevity out of it. That's my personal opinion.
I guess my only other opinion would be, or only other comment would be, but then this is nothing specific, but like, this is standard, we have it. If we let the standard go here, then we kind of have to bend it for everything, and that's, I know that sounds like really,
Petty, but,
yeah, petty and terse and just like really black and white about it, but that's just kind of,
well, we just had somebody fix their curbing on another site, same exact situation.
Yeah.
So I think to be fair to everybody else,
yeah, it's just a matter of
We just-
fairness, kind of.
just treat everybody equal here. So I'm gonna make a recommendation, we stick with the concrete as per the plan, and, go from there. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so stick, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item would be our meeting minutes from October 7th and October 21st, 2024. Does anybody have any comments, additions, deletions? If not, make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 7th and 21st of 2024. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our next item of business would be a definitive subdivision for Ballston Estates. If I could go to Amy, please, Department of Planning.
Motion to read the public.
Make a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They were here in the fall for a preliminary subdivision plan that was approved by the planning board. It's for 2 buildable lots, and access through the property to access the town-owned land in the back. They've submitted this application on October 28, 2024. We have 90 days to render decision unless the applicant provides us a extension. Just want to note that from the original preliminary plan, the pedestrian access path has been moved. It was gonna go all the way down through the driveways to the end of the property. It's been moved along the side of the property. If there's, I think there's signage to show that it's a private road, but there should be signage to show that there's public access to the town-owned land. Beta also has provided a review letter, and the waivers are included with the plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I guess I'll go to, Gary, you were Gary, right?
Yes, I did.
Can I have you weigh in, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Amy stated, we did do a review of this relative to the subdivision standards, and we had a few comments relative to it. Number one was we concurred with the DPW relative to the width of the roadway, increased it to 20 feet. We also suggested that they increase the width of the hammerhead to 15, just as a minimum, and show that they can get that 30-foot vehicle turned around within the limits of the hammerhead. Secondly, the cross-section across the right-of-way, we recommended that they provide a minimum of a 2-foot shoulder and they use up the grades on the side slopes of 4 to 1 rather than the 2 to 1 that they're showing right now. Only for the sake of just continuing lawn maintenance, because it is going to be part of the overall front yard of these proposed houses. Number 3, they do not want to bring in water. They're proposing wells, and within the limits of the subdivision standards, there's a requirement that in fact that they do connect the water without circumstances. So I just want to bring that to the attention of the board. Hopefully we'll hear back from the applicant as to what circumstances are associated with that, why they're not bringing it forward. And then last, the stormwater management system that they have provided is partially within the limits of the right-of-way and partially within the limits of the home. So, I'm pretty confident there's going to be an HOA here associated with it, because it is going to be a private way. But, our recommendation was either go one way or the other, probably putting it in the 2 lots. One side on either side of the lots, either to the individuals or granted to the HOAs, but get it done, let it straddle the right of way.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll turn it back to the board.
Okay. I'll go to Mike, DPW, Mike,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
comments?
So, just a reference to the 20-foot wide driveway width, a common driveway. I just recommend checking with fire department. I believe that's their minimum width that they want to see for fire trucks for putting up the side stabilizers. So that should be checked. And then regarding, I think one of the waivers to not comply with the stormwater part of the subdivision rules and regs, but chapter 153 of the town's bylaws do apply to this, where they do need to meet the town's bylaw with the 1 inch of impervious area needs to be kept on site and infiltrated, which they provided some calculations and the details for the roof drains, and then the stone trench also, but they also still need to show that they comply with all the stormwater standards, pre versus post, not increasing any discharge offsite, that whole thing. That's all under the town's bylaw, so that kind of outside of the subdivision of the reg, so that still should be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, just a comment, on the proposed driveway opening there, they just called out to remove the existing sloped edging there, which I'm fine with, but the last 2 pieces of edging that are at the limits of the edge of the driveway should be turned down and flush, so it's not a sharp edge there, just a construction detail that should be done during when they do that. And then one comment on the pedestrian easement there, there's a detail for the pedestrian path itself within the 10-foot easement, but there's no width called out for the width of the path itself. That should just be added to the detail with the proposal. If it's going to be 5 feet or whatever it is they're proposing, should be added.
Okay.
That's all.
Good, thank you. Before I go to the applicant, I'll go to the board. Okay, I don't know if you're gonna raise any more questions that we can answer after us, that's all. All right, so we'll go to the applicant. If you guys just wanna introduce yourselves for the record, please.
Evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm Joel Dorico, the applicant, 72 Deerview Way, Franklin.
And Amanda Cavalieri with Garrier and Hellman.
I guess, obviously Beta had some comments, DPW had some comments, are these some of the comments that you're gonna make some adjustments on, make it agreeable with the...
I'll bring up the water, Mr. Chairman. If
Yep.
You know, I've had 10 lots up at Countryside Estate that are all on well water. I have 7 lots down at Hemlock Lane on Maple Street that are all on well water. The people seem to enjoy the well water, and I enjoy it. I'm actually on well water at Deerview Way, even though there's a main in the street. I just like the taste of well water.
Okay. Your thoughts?
I've got 17 lots that are on well water, and there's never been an issue.
Yeah, I do.
The only thing I would reference, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if there's anything specific in the bylaws, whether it's required to be connected or not, so that'd be the only thing, not being sure, I'd want to just check into, but.
The only question I would have is to make sure that you have the proper distances to your septic systems. So
Right.
you're not too close to them, they handle it to their neighbors as well.
Yep, they have the minimum
Have you
requirement of
done- Have you
100.
done any preliminary testing down there? Make sure you can.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The place has been perked 3 times, and,
Yeah, I meant for the well water itself.
yeah, and, they're all on well and septic up at Countryside, and well and septic at Hemlock Lane. And those lots are smaller at Hemlock.
So I guess I'll go to the board. Comments, questions before I go to Rob?
Sure. What is your reasoning for moving the pedestrian path along the property lines versus down the center?
I wanted it to be close to the public's access so that they didn't walk down in front of people's houses and have it be on the edge. And it actually faces north, which is really where it wants to be to get to the Labasti Maple Hill land.
But in order to do so, you need to cross in front of existing house number 36. So whether it's through your development and passing through the 2 houses that you're proposing versus existing residents.
Can't hear you if you could.
Oh, sorry. The previous 10-foot wide pedestrian access easement passed by the 2 houses that you are proposing. But
Yes.
now you're moving it to pass by an existing house. And that
Yes.
during the preliminary discussions, we talked about.
It's on the edge of the property line. It's
Mhm.
on my property.
Yep.
It's not on his property.
Nope, I understand. But I'm just saying, your reference not wanting to go by the houses, those houses are the ones you're
Well, it's
proposing.
a quicker walk to get to the town land
Mhm.
by going that way as opposed to going all the way down.
Understood. Yep.
You know, I mean, it's
Just
a-
pointing out that at the last discussions, we talked about it going down the center to avoid disturbances to
It
the
actually
abutters.
does,
I'm not done talking yet.
oh,
So the abutters to avoid impacting your abutters, but now you're saying that you don't want to impact your houses on your lots, but you're okay impacting the abutter.
well, I'm not really impacting anybody. They're just walking to the town-owned land. I'm not, you know,
But-
it's pedestrian.
But during our public hearing process, the abutters spoke up about impacts, and we all discussed how to, remedy that. And I do realize that we've made concessions, and you've made concessions to go from 4 to 2 lots, appreciate that. I just think that in consideration of what we discussed at our last meetings, keeping consistent with what we said we were okay with would be helpful.
I quite frankly can't see the difference between human beings walking in one direction versus walking in another direction to get to the open space. It's a shorter walk with the new location than it would be the other way. There's a path right at the end.
I understand what you're saying.
There's an existing path on that land at the end of that walkway.
I mean, for me, it's consistency. We say one thing, we do what we say,
Well,
and we get here, and now we're changing it. So I'm just putting that out there, that, maybe it is quicker, but I heard what our abutting people were saying at the last meetings, and I was okay with the plan that showed it the way it was, because I heard what the abutters were saying. So I'm just, for me, consistency. Say what, I do what I say. So
I walked out there and I saw the existing pathway that Henry Labasti cut in, and the new location attaches to it.
Okay.
That's why I moved it.
Okay, I'm just expressing my opinion.
Sure.
And then my other question is, you're seeking a waiver from street trees. Do you know how many street trees that you need a waiver for? Was it a couple, 2, 3?
Well, The site right now is loaded with probably 60 balsam, actually 60 red pines. And we're gonna leave quite a few of them. And, you know, if a deciduous tree has to go in, I'd
No,
like,
what I'm getting to is if you know how many trees you need a waiver from, I'd love to see, like we do with everybody else that doesn't wanna plant their street trees, to put that money into an account for future trees in another location.
well, I mean, I can put trees in. I'll put trees in. I hadn't really thought of it. I mean, I can adhere to the regulations.
Or I'd say maybe you move your proposed location of the 10-foot wide pedestrian easement that's along house number 36 now, move it out a bit and plant some of those street trees along that.
I can do that.
Just to create a buffer.
Yeah,
I mean, I can do anything like that.
yeah, I think maybe shifting it further, is it northeast, might help you. And then you could add some trees along that property line to block any nuisance that might occur in perception.
It's gonna be a non-motorized
I
easement,
understand.
you know,
Yeah.
so we keep the noise down.
No, the perception, and I feel for an abutter who heard one thing and then is coming in and seeing another thing. So I think if we can accommodate a
Yeah.
shift and put some trees in, it would be helpful
Sure.
and maybe a better situation for all involved.
Fine.
I just want to build on that. I do think that there's a fundamental difference in developing a new home and the people buying that home knowing that the new easement is located where it is versus a new path being put in, again, right next to an existing abutter that never anticipated this, especially with what was agreed upon prior to this, what we're seeing today. So I do think there's a difference there in just who the homeowners are or could be. I personally would like to see, I mean, this is a fully forested site right now. I'd like to see as much maintained in terms of an existing natural buffer between the existing homeowners and then what ends up being cleared on these new sites. And I do think, you know, the rest of Kimberly Avenue does have street trees on it, so would like to see that same character maintained on these lots. And lastly, I know Beta noted this as well, but would like to understand how many trees, I think it was 10-inch diameter or greater within the 50-foot right-of-way this proposal is anticipating eliminating or replacing in kind, essentially how much of that existing beautiful lush forest can be maintained, certainly the character of it on these large parcels of land.
I think each lot would call for 4 trees, deciduous type, I believe.
Sure, in terms of new trees, but I believe we also would like to see how many trees are being proposed to be eliminated within 10-inch diameter or greater within the 50-foot right-of-way, based on Beta's comments.
Well, of the layout, which is 56 feet for the first 170, I would have to clear that completely. That first 170 feet going in, I have to clear that layout. As far as what's cleared on the lots, I'm a tree lover. My first subdivision 30 years ago was Highland Estates, and I put a covenant down on tree cutting. So I try to save trees, as long as they're not gonna provide a danger to a house by landing on a house. So I'm not gonna do any clear cutting.
Sure,
May
I
ask
guess.
for clarification, Jen, you're talking about the pathway, not the 56-foot roadway, right? You're talking about the
Yeah.
10-foot wide pathway. She's asking, when you cut in that 10-foot wide pedestrian access,
Yes?
how many trees are you taking from there, not cutting in to create your 56-foot wide?
How many trees within the 10 feet?
Yes.
I don't know how many. I've never counted how many trees are within
So
it.
if I think what, Jen, what you're getting to is however many you take down, you want to see replaced in order to provide some more screening or maintain as much as you can, correct?
Sure, there's just no understanding right now, like, basically what is being eliminated a significant tree growth with
Right.
this proposal. And especially considering the buffer that currently exists, or it's just a forest next to these butters, how much can we maintain?
I can minimize the cutting within that pedestrian easement, but I don't want to leave it as an obstacle course.
No, 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 of course not. You want
Right.
it to be accessible. I do also think the easement needs to move back to where it was,
Well, I want to put it where I would like to put it on my lot, is where I would like to put it. Because as I say, Henry Labasti has a walking path that this will attach to that goes to the Maple Hill Dam.
maybe there's a way to see more clearly, or could you illustrate where the existing paths are within the plot of land or the adjacent land as well? Just even conceptually.
It's within 30 to 40 feet to the right of where that goes down the property line. In other words, it goes down the property line and it hooks to the right a little bit.
Sure, I guess just an understanding of
There's
where.
a break in the stone wall, and
That-
where I would run it to, because the 4-acre parcel is bounded by a stone wall,
Mhm.
and there's a break in that stone wall. And that's where the access point would eventually end up.
Okay, it's just not, I can see the stone wall plan, but, yeah.
So, I have a few thoughts on this one. So, I've cleared a lot of paths in this town, like through the woods. Like if you walk on a town-owned conservation area, I probably cleared that path. Unless it was a tree that was down across it like this,
Right,
I've never used a chainsaw to clear a path.
right.
That is antithetical to everything you do when you clear a path. You are supposed to think like a deer.
Right, keep it
I
natural.
use a rake and a pair of lockers to clear paths. So I would,
I'm
I would
with you.
assume that if this is done by anyone with any willingness to maintain it in its natural form and also be somewhat lazy, because lugging a chainsaw around does stink, that there's going to be 0 trees cleared above anything about 3 inches.
I can do that, it can meander.
Yeah, you want to think like a deer.
I
Right.
can meander. Now, the other thing, it's on the plan as a bluestone base, and I was down at Fletcher Field with my grandson last week, and they were all wood chipped.
That's
I'd
not-
like to do wood chips.
Don't do anything.
I'd like to do the wood
Don't
chips,
do
or
anything.
just let it be. Let it
Just let it
clean
be.
out.
Just let nature do its thing.
Fine, that's
the
fine.
best way to maintain it. If you wood chip it, it's gonna turn into mush eventually, and if you put the stone dust down, it's gonna create runoff issues. Just let it
Fine.
be. Now, as to the comment of the location, I personally don't mind if it maybe is somewhat adjusted, maybe like 2 or 4 feet or something from where you're proposing.
It won't be straight,
because-
it'll be a curve.
yeah, no, I'm looking at the plan of the site, excuse me. And it seems as if the walking path, the highest elevation that will be is about 298, and then it drops into about 296 from there. The foundation elevation of the home is 302. So at its highest point, the home is 4 feet above the trail, and then there's a stone wall at 300 feet. So you're below.
We're gonna be way away from that walking easement
Yeah,
with the
well, just,
foundation.
no, I'm saying the existing home, Joel,
Oh.
at number 36. So, you're below the existing home with the walking path as you proposed it with
He
the
is
opportunity.
higher.
Yep, with the opportunity to leave screening in place and a stone wall already existing.
Yeah, he is high.
Whereas the initially shown walkway ascends from 298 to 306. So by the time you enter the woods, you're 8 feet higher than your new homes. So if we want to talk about privacy, the old one provided less privacy, in my opinion. So if you were to leave a nice screen along the
Oh, I
existing
will.
stone wall there, I think that'll alleviate the privacy issues, and then I don't think that Jen will have to worry
I'm
about
happy,
trees
I
coming down.
won't go anywhere near that property line cutting.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to take your little 10-foot wide easement potentially and maybe buffer it 5 feet or something,
Fine.
you know, just to give yourself a little more elevation, some more buffer. And I think that'd be actually more privacy for everyone.
Easy enough.
Not to pile on, but I actually, I agree, I prefer the first iteration, I think, Joel, you came through was the 4 lots, and it was further away because you had the parcel A and B that were non-developable, right? And then it moved out to the straight back out, and I think, for me, that made a ton of sense, because if I recall back there, there's a picnic area, and some other trails that are pretty much right on the other side of that property line, I believe. So it almost connects better to the rest of the circuit over there, in my opinion. And also agree that, you know, you're impacting the two new homes as opposed to the existing homes, where, you know, this access way, sidewalk's not a sidewalk, but the access way's been there. And, you know, even with the grade changes, having folks walk that close and essentially kind of in your backyard, I'm sure could be challenging as a homeowner. So I think for all of those reasons, I'd prefer to see it relocated back out, heading east towards the land, with the same specifications that the guys are talking about, but at a minimum, the buffering for sure.
I can do that, and I would prefer to have it go where it's shown now, because there is a picnic area. I went to a meeting where they were talking about Maple Hill, and that's about 200 feet. My walkway now, the proposed new location, will be about 200 feet from where those picnic tables will be. So it isn't that far for people to, and they're out there to walk anyway. So I would prefer to have my lots be unencumbered, so to speak, and not have people walking down the front lawn, whereas here they're going down the side. That's what I prefer from an owner point of view.
Mark?
In my opinion, I would rather see it where it was originally voted on, in my opinion. Who's supposed to maintain that anyway? Originally, I think Mike said they wanted it to be wide enough so they could get to the town forest there. I think that was part of the intent, so in case of emergency, but in my opinion, I'd rather see it there. I understand what everybody's getting at, but if it doesn't matter where, Mr. Dorico says, if they walk alongside of it, where he's proposing now, or at the end of the driveway, then it should leave it where it is, where it was originally voted on.
Well, yeah, just bear in mind, that was preliminary too.
I'm sorry?
That was just preliminary, this is more.
Okay. All right.
I want to say something. I have more to say.
So, yes, are we good on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I just want everybody to understand, this went from 4 lots to 2 lots. So I think for all due purposes, I would probably be willing to accept the pathway to the left of the lot, give it some boundaries, put some foliage, some arborvitae's or whatever it may be to the neighbor's side, give them some privacy, delineate it a little bit. You know, I know that a couple of the neighbors are here, but I think for all intents and purposes, originally started at 4, now it's down to 2. It went down to 2 because of the neighbors. So I think there's a trade-off there. So I just, I'm okay with it on the side, just don't encroach onto the neighbor's yard.
Right.
Stay distance, keep that privacy line, and put some trees up along the side, some arborvitae, so it creates a barrier for them.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, following up on that, and we appreciate that very much. And just as a follow-up to that, is that we did come in from, originally we had the 4 lots, and we were able to comply with all of the zoning bylaws under a 3-lot subdivision, which would have the cul-de-sac and area for parking and for people to access the right-of-ways and everything, but with one waiver, which was the extension of the roadway. And the reason all of these waivers are being requested is based on, you know, the concessions that the applicant has made to satisfy board and the abutters. You know, no detention basins and mitigating stormwater on the property, keeping things private, relocating that pedestrian path down to the center of the property lines again, you know, where this is a 2-lot subdivision. We have a common driveway, so people would actually be walking down these people's driveway as opposed to a side yard, which is, you know, less impactful for everybody walking on the side. So we appreciate the feedback from you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the everything's, this plan is based on comments that we did hear from the board and the residents, and trying to be as respectful as abutting properties as we can, and respectful of the board's comments, and making those concessions and accommodations. So we feel that this is a, you know, a good concession to meet everybody's needs comfortable putting in the buffer and some screening along that pathway along the side, keeping it as natural as we can. People like to walk, you know, to open space, and you don't necessarily have carved out trails or a blue stone or anything to maintain. So however we decide to resolve that, but ideally it would be great to keep that on that side. And we can add some screening, additional screening in that area as opposed to putting it down the center.
Mr. Chairman, that would make me feel more comfortable.
Additional screening?
Yep, if
Yep.
you're moving it to this location and that's a better option. I hear what all the other board members are saying.
I'll
So,
do that.
Yeah,
So
I
if we
think
just
just
do some
shifting
screening.
it would be helpful away
Yep.
from the neighbor's yard.
And we can make sure that
The
there's
screening.
plenty of screening in there, that it's not gonna be anything obtrusive to
No, just
36.
to let everybody know, there is other access to this property. This isn't the sole entry, so there are other locations to enter this. So how many people are gonna use it a year? Marginal, you know. I just had one quick question for Amy. Simeon Lane,
Hmm?
is that still
I'm
the
sorry, we're
original
just,
right-of-way off of Madison? It was the
No.
original cut, that's gone, right?
that's gone,
Yeah, okay.
that's gone.
Yeah.
That
It's
man
no longer
bought-
owned by the
Unfortunately,
town.
He bought that, the man, the abutter bought that.
Yeah, I know that. It's
Mhm.
unfortunate, but,
Yep.
because that would have been another means of access right
Yeah.
close by
Yep.
as well. Okay, just want to confirm. Is anybody in the audience that, comment, questions? Will you just approach the mic and give your name and address, please?
May I approach with a map to guide my discussion?
Sure.
Thank you.
I think you all know me, Kip Brady, 36 Kimberly. I am the abutter of which you all speak. So, you know, we spent, this is like deja vu all over again with, if you want to quote Yogi Berra, we spent the better part of a year going back and forth on this plan to get it to an agreeable situation with the path. And then what was submitted is not consistent with that agreement that we all worked on so hard. The new path, as it hugs the wall, or whatever it's going to be, is going to be a public safety concern for us because people are going to have direct access to a blind spot in our backyard. And I'm the person that sent you the letter on Friday showing you the pictures of how anybody who goes down that path is going to be able to walk into an area that we can't see, to either break into the house or to steal things from our yard. And this particular path was never proposed at any part of the development, even the initial one. So there's that aspect with respect to public safety that concerns us. Secondly, if you look at the map, you know, when we approved this in August, we didn't know that there were plans in place for, coming out from Beta for the Maple Hill space. And there was a meeting in October where actually Mr. DeRico was at, as was I, that revealed that one of the most developed areas of the Maple Hill space is going to be where his original trail was proposed to be. So it would actually be a perfect way for people to get into the most developed area where there's ADA trails and picnic tables. The currently proposed path, I live there, that doesn't lead to any trails. It will come to a stone wall and forest. So there's no path that this new proposed path leads to. It's going to be a dead end, and people are going to walk in and have to walk back out. So with respect to, you know, the good of the town and access to the public space, the originally proposed trail was perfect. When I saw that, I thought this is going to work out perfectly, and then lo and behold, this was submitted that doesn't conform with what we all agreed to. So from our perspective, it's a public safety hazard for us. And it's the trail is located now is completely unacceptable to us, and we would you know urge the committee to stick with the originally and agreed to trail that goes into the space that will be developed. And then the only other thing that is a minor piece is the movement of the septic field seems to be a little bit closer to our well, so I'm assuming in the permitting process someone will come out and measure the distance from our well. I think there's a 100-foot buffer so that make sure that the field doesn't contaminate our well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Sure.
There is a break in that stone wall. Heading north on the first lot on the left. Along the left-hand side where I'm proposing the pedestrian easement now. You go straight in, not hugging the boundary, not hugging the property line. You go straight in and hook to the right, and there's a break in that stone wall that goes to the path. I can show it to you if you want to see it. But
Mr. Chairman, I have one more on this.
And that's what we're gonna use. I abut access on Deerview Way to this same parcel. And I don't have people going through there late at night, casing the house or anything. I've never had any issues where I live. There is access off a bridle path.
There's multiple points of access.
There's multiple, exactly. In fact, I left one on High Ridge Circle when I did Highland Estates. So I'm cognizant to pedestrian. And, I don't really envision any people going through people's yards to lift things and so forth, and there is a break in that stone wall. And that's why I would like to use it. I don't want to encumber the front lawns of two houses, because that's what they're gonna be. They're gonna be the front lawns of two houses. It's just, to me, it's just not right.
Okay. Jay, you have one more comment?
So, I haven't seen this, I think this is awesome. And this is like great that we're gonna actually do something with this space, and I especially like ADA trails. I actually put some in, and the last community I worked for is like probably my favorite thing that I did there. So to comment on that, unfortunately, I don't think you're getting ADA access to off of any part of this site, because the grades leading off this site are all in excess of 5%. So unfortunately, that access from this particular site will never lead to the ADA trails. Even if you look around the back, when we're in the town of Franklin's land, that is all in excess of 5%. So really cool, glad that's gonna happen, but this is not the particular way to access it.
So what I'm gonna look for, and you're gonna be coming back, we're gonna continue anyways, delineate, pulling off a lot line,
What was that?
delineate where the path may potentially land, pull it off the lot line, come in. I'd even almost just say go straight in, not follow the angle of the lot.
Correct.
Just get yourself in, show the trees, show the boundaries.
Right.
I think,
It's gonna veer to the right.
consolation is, you went from 4 lots down to 2. I think that's just part of the situation that we're gonna be here, that's all. I think, you've made enough concessions for the town, the residents, and the board. I think this, if you cheat this in a little bit, put some trees in there, and just make it respectable. I don't think, you haven't done it, not in the past, you've done many of these, so I have faith in that.
Just real quick though, through the chair, I mean, I think it looks like from the termination point of every other road that is tying into this proposed trail network, there's a clear, whether it's ADA or not, there's a clear actual trail connecting. What I want to understand is, and maybe this goes to the town, is, because these arrows, Kit, in your markup are maybe blocking a little bit of the southernmost portion of this site, but could you share just the current or latest detailed trail map? Like, is this one still the most relevant? You don't know, because you don't have it in your hand, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, so, if you don't mind, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
No, so there is, through conservation right now, our conservation agent, through Maple Hill and Smith's Farm, they're working with Beta to plan a whole mapping and trail route, and they've had some public meetings on it. I don't have that information in front of me right now. Access to Kimberly is not included, I believe, from that. You have Bridle Path, you have Hancock, that I believe that they were looking for that area, for access, so I don't have that information. I mean, it's something we can look into, but I don't believe it was included, in there.
I know where they all are, Mr. Chair.
There's another
But-
one off of Harkin Street.
I know where they all are.
Sure, but to that point, the proposed, at least on this anyway, again, I haven't seen the most recent, is insanely close to these parcels. So I just, if this is all being planned, it would be nice to see it being planned in conjunction with each other, is all I'm saying.
This is gonna be done before all the rails will be through. I guess I would have a question for Mike. What happens if when we pull it in, maybe delineate with a split rail fence of some sort, just to keep a hard boundary along with the trees, if there's something to that effect?
Along the
On
easement,
left
along the
side,
trail?
just on the left side, just to make the neighbor feel a little bit more comfortable.
I've
So
seen-
between the trees and maybe split rail fence, if that's.
I think there's an example, yeah, I think there's an example, something like that off Old Grove Street that was done a few years ago, where there's a narrow path that goes up
Yeah.
into the town forest, and there's basically a split rail fence on either side of the
That's
path.
kind of what I was thinking, just to delineate so they don't migrate to the left, that's all. Is there something you can put together, a quick little plan on the?
A fence,
Just
a
to
fence
show-
is $4,000 to go from one end to the other. I
Just
mean,
on one side.
I don't understand the need for it when people are there for recreational purposes only.
Well, to
You know,
that
'cause
argument, then why can't you put it down the center?
yeah, but I don't wanna run it through the front
Yeah,
lawns of the
I'm
people.
just asking.
What I
And there
wanna
is a
say
stone
is,
wall there.
what I wanna say is, I'm gonna grant this daytime use only. You know, dawn to dusk.
There's a stone wall.
There's a stone wall already right down the property line.
Yeah, there's a stone, so I'm gonna put it dawn to dusk, there's no nighttime access. So,
Yeah, no lights in the beginning.
exactly, right.
So if you can rework that entry a little bit, show.
Yeah, I can get some hemlocks in there that'll stay
It'll be
lacy
heavy and grow deep and.
instead of arborvitae. The hemlocks will grow lacy and it'll give a natural look.
Can I ask one more question to the
Sure.
shed? Some of the comments that we had received from Beta are more consistent with a roadway subdivision where we have a driveway. And I wanted to see if that's something that would be acceptable to the board, that, some of the questions are, provide a street plan and profile. Where it's a driveway, it's not gonna have utilities and that kind of stuff. Is that stuff that the board would be comfortable with us saying that, it's a common driveway, doesn't mean, it's not intended to, we're asking for all of these waivers, is it another waiver that we add, or, something to that effect?
Mike, it's a private driveway.
Right.
For all intents and purposes.
And I mean, looking at the grades, it doesn't look like that steep at all, so.
Is that something we can work with Mike and Gary
I'm
outline
okay
it?
with it.
Just to
I'm
kind of
just only
clarify
one,
what you
but
guys need?
I'm sure the rest of the board feels, but I think it's just a private driveway, it's just a little bit wider, that's all.
Yeah.
How's the rest of the board feel?
I have no issue with that.
Formality that we
Yeah.
have to submit waivers for anything they want to deviate from the subdivision plan, so
We'll just agree
something
upon
we
it.
can work on, but maybe submit the waiver so we can,
We'll just have more
Yeah.
waivers.
yeah.
Okay.
Just regarding the waiver request, Mike, could you reiterate what you said about the waiver request for the compliance with the stormwater management? That's something you're recommending that we do not waive, correct?
So even if the board does waive it, technically it's under the town's bylaw and the stormwater. So when they go to pull permits through DPW, we would require all that information at that point. So it's best just to do it now as part of this.
Just wanted to make sure I heard that right. Okay, thank you.
Yep, so we'll work with you, Mike, on that, just to
Sure.
make sure that we have everything, but we did the 1 inch.
I saw some of the calculations and the details, so it looks like you did address most of that, just addressing the rest of the stormwater standards. And
Yeah, so
spelling it all out.
we'll talk about that offline as well, and we'll get
Sure.
that addressed in the next comment.
Amy?
Just one question to the board before you, whatever, move on or
Yeah.
whatever with the hearing. I think to determine, moving the path, and they're proposing 10 feet, where we've said 20 feet is really fire regulation. I think we should decide, I would ask the board if they could have a recommendation tonight, so it doesn't have to be a vote, if they're looking for 10 feet or a 20-foot path. So as the applicant moves along, they can determine on the next set of plans that come along.
I think that was pavement,
No, that was about the pavement, the 20-foot pavement.
Oh, okay, about
So
the
the
pavement, it
path
wasn't about the
itself-
path?
We want to limit, I think our paths,
Sorry.
we want to keep them at 5 feet, but I think Mike
Okay.
recommended we make it 10 feet and just give yourself a little range of the if I remember correctly.
Mr. Chairman, that was during the preliminary stage. I recommended maybe making it wide enough for an emergency vehicle to get through, but the board wanted to keep something smaller scale with pedestrians only, so that's why they ended up there, so.
So I think 10 feet would be sufficient for the amount of use that they get. And then the 20 feet was for the actual pavement,
The driveway.
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
So I make a motion to continue Walson Estates definitive subdivision. What do we look at the time? And how much time do you think you're gonna need to review everything with Gary and Mike?
January 13th, or the 27th.
You wanna go January 27th,
First meeting in January, Mr. Chairman?
January 13th? Okay, so make a motion to continue to January 13th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item of business would be for, excuse me, 19D now, and this will be site plan application special permit referring to the building itself.
Mr. Chairman, before you start, Amy, it looks like Maxine has her hand raised. Is there?
I think,
that's the mounted
I
cursor.
think it's my mouse.
The
I
hand
think
raise
it's-
is usually yellow. Usually yellow, yeah.
Yeah.
But could I, but, yeah. At least somebody's watching
Yeah.
TV.
Mm.
Okay. Amy, if I could go to you, please, with the comment plan.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know they've been back in front of us several times. The last time it was, they came in with 4 residential units. The board had recommended the 4 parking spaces. They wanted also to see the height of the building to make sure it didn't exceed, which they've provided those. The one thing I would find that's outstanding is that they have not applied to design review. It could be a condition if the board decided to make a decision on the plan. They're trying to, I think, kind of establish their final thoughts of the building and what the board's gonna approve for height and parking. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this is kind of, let me go to the applicants, if you want to just give your name and companies, please.
Cannon Local Counsel.
Hazem Dani, civil engineer with the HD Design.
Alex Sikorsky, Greenlee Design Services.
Okay, if you want to give us a brief overview of your thoughts, please, before I go to the board and the public.
Again, for the record, my name is Hazem Dani. I'm a civil engineer with HD Design. Over the past few weeks, we have worked closely with Amy and Beta Engineer, or Beta Consulting Engineers, for the outstanding comments for the proposed 4 units residential building that will have a garage on the first floor. So it's a mixed-use building, will be located on 19 Dean Ave. The lot has a footprint of approximately 3,400 square feet. It's a very small lot and pre-existing non-conforming with a pre-existing non-conforming structure. In 2022, the site had been granted a special permit and a few variances through the Zoning Board of Appeals to allow for up to 16 residential units with no parking on site. Then the applicant proposed a mixed-use building before the planning board. Then the design was revised a couple of times until we reached the design that we currently have before the board. The stormwater system will be located under the building just due to the limited site area. We had, again, worked with Beta and we addressed all of the stormwater comments. The stormwater design complies with the town of Franklin bylaw and also the Massachusetts stormwater regulations. The site will be served with public water and sewer and potentially gas if allowed. If not allowed, there will be an electric system. And then with that, I'll leave it up to Alex to speak about the architectural design.
Hi, Mr. Chair. Alex Sikorsky, GDS Design Services. So based on our last meeting, I'll just highlight the updates that we got from the board, or that the board requested. So we had added some pedestrian views of the site, so we layered the existing context of the surrounding site onto the proposed building. We did a cross-section through the street, so you could see sort of the scale and height of the building. The height does fall within the town bylaws definition, and it's under, I think there was a 50-foot allowable based on the previous approval.
That is correct.
We added some colored fenestration, so the vernacular and materiality of the building sort of fits the downtown district. We got some brick veneer, composite siding, and some flat paneling. I think those are the biggest changes, not changes, but clarifications to supporting documents. Then we went through all the building lighting with our civil engineer as well.
Right.
Signage and that mural wall, some of those things.
Okay. I'll go to the board. Yeah, you want to go ahead, please?
Sure.
This is just for generic purposes, for them to move forward. They still have
Yeah.
to live design review, that's all.
Yeah, sure.
Deliberate direction.
I mean, I think this is great and continually improves from what, our originally commentary. I appreciate the fact that you brought the eave all the way across the top level to make the scale of the building feel like it came down a little bit. The only thing that I would like to see change, I know that you are required to have a percentage of openness for a parking garage for ventilation, but I would like to see those louvers come off the DNAV side of the building and the immediate corner and the approach from Main Street to DNAV. I'd like to see that percentage of openness be higher in the back of the building, where it's not, you don't have people walking right by it and it's just abutting another parking garage. I think that DNAV facade and that pedestrian experience is really important. And so, alternatively, if there does need to be some, I see how you're trying to align all of the openings with the openings above, but I do think that when you're walking right by that, a louver is not conducive to sort of the character or the experience that we're trying to achieve in the downtown commercial district. So with, I think, some modifications there, otherwise, and then seeing more on the material specifics. I know that these are colored renderings. I think it's a little strange to switch from a brick veneer to to split face CMU block on the same facade. So I guess I just want to understand a little bit more of the materiality and consistency of how it's going to read from the base. I think everything above the base is pretty simple and consistent, but again, because people are going to be so close to that base of the building, would just really like to see a little bit more of the detail of that pedestrian scale along sort of the public ways and what you see from the public way. But otherwise, I think this is a great project. It's exciting to see the development. And just one question through the chair, will you have any sort of heads up or safety system in place? I am just very concerned with cars backing in and out of that very highly trafficked sidewalk, with the garage door being right there. Will you have any sort of indicator that will warn either pedestrians and or vehicles of pedestrians in either direction?
I think the short answer is yes.
Okay.
I've seen detection systems,
Yeah.
when the door opens and there's a car approaching
Yeah.
the sidewalk, yes, there was
Okay.
some type of beeping system or something.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick question, what was
Yeah.
the second facade you mentioned? Was it the east
Well,
or the
it
west
just,
for the louvers?
It's the
The side of the gas meter or the other side?
the other side.
Okay.
So it's such a heavily traffic, coming from Main Street, turning onto Dean Ave, there's just a lot of pedestrian traffic, and that corner is super prominent. So not only the louvers, but also the materiality of the brick veneer, and when it transitions to split face CMU block, and literally color-wise and scale-wise, like, what's the difference between these two? Or like, really, what's the purpose of changing materiality? I understand it's always a balance of cost savings and whatnot, but that's all. Thank you.
Mark, comments, questions?
No, I think it's, you know, it looks great, I really do. My only comment was the same what Jen mentioned about the warning for coming out onto the sidewalk. That would be my concern. But otherwise, thanks for listening to what we had to say. And thank you.
Thanks. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Similar, I think that corner that Jen's mentioning, I agree. Maybe if you could even tuck it in, because you're right up against the Dean Bank lot there, and there's a generator and a fence and some tree coverage. I don't think there's a ton of visibility if you push it in, if you got to keep them there, but the lawns in the front, I think it'd be great to lose those. And I saw on one of the plans here, it looked like, how many spaces, how many public spaces or street spaces are going away to make access? And then in the remainder, it looked like, I still feel that they're tight in regards to where the driveway is and coming out and trying to navigate a left or a right-hand turn. If it could get rid of, I think it's 4 spaces altogether, but.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Correct. The existing parking spaces in the front of the parking lot are 4 spaces. 2 of them are going away and 2 will remain. But we did run an auto-turn or vehicle movement model, and we worked with Beta on that, and we were able to show that vehicles will be able to access in and out of the garage without impacting the 2 spaces to remain. And unfortunately, we'll have to lose 2 public parking spaces to allow for access to the site.
Okay. And then my other comment was color, but I'm good for now.
Okay. Jay?
I guess I'm excited to see this moving forward, because it's gonna be great to see this finally get kind of taken care of. I don't really have too much to say about this, other than, I think it kinda, I'm gonna give us a little pat on the back by a Jen. I think it says a little bit about the board that she would have picked up on the louver thing and said to move it, because I don't see that at all.
That's why there's a diverse perspectives. on the board,
Exactly,
Jake.
so I was going to just compliment the diversity of our perspective. I've looked at many, many plans, and I would have never seen that. The fact that you thought to move that, I thought compliments the strength of the board, so.
Good. Beth?
Just commenting on, I know you guys have been before us for quite a while now, and I appreciate it, and I think sometimes you hear developers that are, what's taking so long, can't you get this through the board, let's move this along, you're slowing us down. So I really appreciate you taking the time to work with us to get a project that's really a great project, and I think this is gonna be a really great addition to our downtown, so thank you both for the time and energy, and I know money that it costs to be before us as many times as you have, but thank you. And it is exciting and great, Jay, we have a great diverse board here, and I think the comments really help make the best projects for our community.
I mean, I agree with the rest of the board. I know you're here to make this move along to the next stages for yourselves, so I'm okay. This will be, I'll make a motion, but with the condition that when we go to design review, we get to see it one more time, just to make sure there's nothing substantial, and I'd like to see the products themselves, because unfortunately in the past, some other buildings got built with different color products. So I want to make sure that what we see is what's gonna get built.
Mr. Chair, color-wise or the actual?
Color-wise, yep,
Okay.
yep, white is white, red is red, I want to see true representation.
Preferably samples?
Yes,
I mean,
please.
if we could,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is the road we gotta take, you know. because
Yeah,
of the
no,
color. So,
I know the genesis, so.
okay. So, make a motion to,
Close the public hearing, right? So do we want to, are there any public?
anybody in the public have any questions or comments? Nope.
Close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote
Vote tonight?
Make a motion to approve, what's this special permit this, we have to do
Yes,
this.
we're
Yeah.
gonna do the roll call.
Yep, that's all Jim.
I just,
Oh, yep.
since it's been closed, I would put in, they have one waiver, and then I'd put in the condition about design review, since it's been closed, so I would mention those also.
So make a motion to approve the waiver request to allow site lighting to extend past the property line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then make a motion to add the condition of approval that the applicant appear before design review and present samples to the planning board for confirmation that the colors are consistent with design review and planning board approvals.
Yeah, the approvals being the key one, that the design review commission recommend the project, yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is there a way to get on the agenda, assuming we can get in front of design review maybe first week of January?
Oh, yeah.
We-
Well,
Yeah,
you'll be
let us-
general business.
Okay.
So there's no advance notice.
Okay, great.
Okay, the roll call vote?
Sure, do a roll call vote. For a special permit to allow residential units under section 185, attachment 7 in the downtown commercial district. Number 1A, proposed project addresses or is consistent with neighborhood or town need. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
B, vehicular traffic flow, access and parking and pedestrian safely are properly addressed. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
C, public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
D, neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, or feature, or, if it will, proposed mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
F, number, height, bulk, location, and siting of the buildings and structures will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air circulation or being exposed to flooding or subjected to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particulates. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
G, water consumption and sewer use, taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity will not be excessive. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
Finally, the proposed use will not have adverse effect which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Jay Mello,
Yes.
Chris Stickney.
Yes.
All set?
Approved.
You're all set?
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good job.
Get back to me on general business for the, right?
Oh, I'm on. Wait, what?
No, no.
Yeah, they come back for
to
general
you.
business for design review.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next item of business will be, this will be a public hearing, initial public hearing for 124 to 126 Grove Street, site plan modification.
Make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Amy, if I could go to you, Department of Planning first, please.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is actually an existing site. It's 124 Grove Street and 126 Grove Street. They both have existing buildings there. They are looking to add on 80,000 square feet to 124 Grove Street. They also will be combining with the lots with parking and access, so that's why both of them are on here. They have filed a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. Review letters have been provided by our DPW and fire. I know that Beta's still taking some time to look at it. A traffic study has been provided. which is still being reviewed by Beta at this point. The applicant has not requested any waivers at this point. Thank you. Oh, I did get Beta's letter, sorry about that. Came in at the very last minute. It should be in your packets.
Gary, probably gonna hold off on other comments and questions because there's quite a bit of data. So if I could just go to the applicant, and I'm just gonna look for a brief overview of the whole project itself, and then we'll approach everything as time comes, with information as it goes through. But if you could just introduce yourselves to the record, please.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arthur Redding. I'm the president of the NEAG Appliance Group. We're a co-op appliance. We've been here since 1983 in the same location. We've added on the building 2 or 3 times before, and 2 of the times I actually will clerk of the works on it. We supply our dealers, which are owners of the company, throughout all of New England and upstate New York. We have about 246 stores, any mom and pop appliance stores. If they sell appliances, most likely they belong to our group, throughout all of New England and upstate New York. We're just run out of space. We've looked to buy in town. There's nothing to buy in town. So we looked to go out of town. We decided to stay in town if we could buy the property behind us, and that's what we did. So by buying the property, we're able to have a plan to put on about 80,000 square feet, and also correct some of the problems we've had with parking, truck parking in the parking lot. We just had too many. And we used to have, in a lot of cases, we have to tell the trucks, take off for a half hour, come back, because we don't know room to park them. We're looking to stay in town and make an investment. We've already made an investment. We've got the building behind us and the property.
Okay, good, thank you.
Edward Cannon, Doherty, Dugan, Cannon, Raymond, and Wild. Also a tenant of now NEAG, and Mr. Redding, and can certainly attest to the fact that extremely responsible. It's been a breath of fresh air having them as the owner of 124 Grove Street, and very diligently taking care of the building, which is a nice reflection on Arthur and his group. Just to your thoughts, Mr. Chairman, this is the initial public hearing, so we'll sort of give a 30,000-foot view that Amanda and her team can do to give an idea of the project.
Okay, good, thank you.
So, again, Amanda Cavalieri with Carrier and Hellman. I'm just gonna stand up just briefly and kind of go over existing conditions, as Arthur and Ted had mentioned. So this is your existing, site layout between 126 Grove, which is New England Alliance, and 124 Grove. The 2 parcels together, allow for expansion of this building, again, to stay on site. To the south of the site, you can see it's all wetlands, so trying to move to the south, and expand that way is, a lot more difficult. So, the expansion is associated with, again, improving and enhancing safety, throughout the site, adding some additional parking, and, minimizing queuing around the building, for the trucks. So what we're proposing to do is an 85, or between 80 and 85,000 square foot addition at the rear of the building, which is this hatched area here. And then these dark gray areas are new improvements to the paved areas and additional parking. And all of the improvements are on 126 Grove Street. 124 Grove Street was purchased again to meet zoning setbacks for the proposed addition and keep it off the side property line. Right now, 126 Grove Street has 2 entrances, or 2 access points. The northern entrance access point is for the truck traffic, and the majority of the traffic to enter the site and go around the building. And what we're proposing is to use Prime Park now, which is the access way that goes up to 122 Grove, 124 Grove, as well. And the additional traffic that's going to be going in on Prime Park is really just the truck traffic. allow us to come, and to the same point where we're already, meeting up with. The additional parking down here, we're proposing 31 truck parking spaces, so to allow for any of the trucks that are in the queue, either waiting to be, filled or to unload. They can park down here, it gives them a little bit more room. As you can see right now, this light gray area is all that they have for room to bring the trucks around the site. And then we're adding some additional parking, about 97 new spaces or additional spaces in the areas that we can, and associated stormwater mitigation along with that. We've been working with, we talked with Beta briefly this afternoon, and we'd like permission from the board to work directly with Beta and Mike Maglio on the comments. We did get the comment letter, we've gone through all of them, working with the project team. There is a lot to go through, all very addressable. And we're also going through Conservation Commission. Based on the existing site, there are 3 stormwater basins that are already on site. There's an existing one here, there's an existing one under the proposed addition that's going to be filled, and then there's an existing basin number 2, which is down to the south. These areas, the filled area is going to be mitigated, and we're working with the stormwater design team and Beta to go over questions or concerns with that. So any of the stormwater that was typically going, or originally going into the basin up here that's going to be filled, that will be accounted for on the site as well. And again, all of these site improvements will take place on 126. There are no improvements at this point proposed on 124. We're going through Conservation Commission. We've gone through an extensive process with them for getting the wetlands delineated and the detention ponds identified if there's any wetland areas under the local jurisdiction. So we're working with them. We have a notice of intent filed with them. We're planning on going in front of them this coming Thursday. We have not received feedback from Beta. We just got their scope of services that we forwarded to the applicant today. And that'll be underway shortly. So we'll combine all comments received from both conservation and planning into the next upcoming submittal. We did have a couple things that we wanted to just defer to the board for prior to moving forward, so we know how to direct our sub-consultants associated with the site, as we do have quite a few. We have Vanas is our traffic consultant, and we're working with them. We're working with what was it, Northeast Geotechnical for our geotechnical services. We also have Shea Engineering, Shea Concrete. They're doing the retaining wall design, as we do have a substantial retaining wall at the rear of the property where the truck parking is going. And I'm trying to think if we have another one. And Goddard Consulting for the wetland side of things and replication. So we do have a lot of people to kind of coordinate with. Out of the comments that we received from Beta, there were 3 that we wanted to get the board's feedback on how to move forward. On page 3 of Beta's response letter from December 5th, comment Z2 talks about providing data quantifying anticipated sound, noise, vibrations, odor, and flashing to determine the conformity with these requirements. We'd ask for clarification or determination from the planning board if that would be required, as the change of use is not the use is not being changed from what it is currently today. It's an additional warehousing, same amount of truck traffic, same clientele, same everything. It's creating more storage. They're not anticipating more traffic or noise, no other changes as far as use goes from what's already there. And we are within the industrial zone. So that was the first one. The second one was page 4, which was comment T1 under traffic. This is where asking on behalf of Vanas as far as what would be required from the, or what would be required as far as additional submission material. Based on the current use and the level of service, to look at the we're not anticipating additional traffic flow. Again, this is more of a, looking at the level of service at the intersection for Prime Park, which is the north entrance now that the truck traffic is going into. It will be additional, or not additional, it'll be the same trucks that are going in to 124, or 126 Grove at the existing entrance. It's just being rerouted to this side of things, so the traffic coming in is just going to have the trucks coming in, but there's going to be no changes going out. Again, circulation is still staying from the north going to the south and then out onto Grove. Truck traffic is not going to be changing, so there's going to be no exiting traffic that's going to change from what's being proposed currently at the site. So in effort to provide a level of service, it's additional traffic counts with trucks entering and exiting at that intersection. And if it's something that we can work with Beta on and have a discussion with Vanass and Beta regarding their comment, we defer to the board as far as what they would require, and if we don't anticipate a change to that, if you were going to require a study. And then the last comment was page 5, comments T7 through T12 associated with parking counts with respect to 124 Grove Street, and we have a parking table on that sheet, on the proposed site layout right there, sheet 3, as far as what's existing and what's proposed for 126 Grove Street. 126 Grove is the only lot that's changing. 124, the use and current state, which has been pre-approved by the planning board back in the day, there's no changes there. And again, there's no increase as far as staffing that's going into the 126 Grove Street project area. It's warehousing, so again, staffing, there's no increase. We are increasing or enhancing the safety of the site with the circulation of the trucks and the parking accommodations as needed, but we'd ask for a request that additional parking counts or requirements based on the existing uses where no changes to 124 at this time are proposed. That 124 and 126, as far as parking goes, they're really going to serve their current purposes.
Okay, good, thank you. I'm gonna bounce this one back to Gary and Mike. Your thoughts on the 3 items that we just talked about? What do you think? I mean, I'd rather that you guys get into it a little bit deeper before we move any direction, to tell you the truth, because we're gonna defer back to Beta.
And if we can work directly with Beta through that, that would be great. As we didn't know if the board had a preference above and beyond what Beta would have comments for. But again, we're looking at really the site improvements associated with 126. Excuse me.
So basically, we just added drives, more drives to it for all.
Yes.
Gary?
I think part of it was just to make sure that they did have the number of parking spaces required under the zoning, and that they weren't gonna try and swap out the 124 and use them to try and meet the overall requirements for the expanded use. I mean, even if there is an expanded, it's still an expansion of the building, at the additional 85,000, there's still certain parking requirements. So, but certainly, we can
Work
talk.
through it? Okay.
Yeah, we can go through that. Same thing with the traffic. I mean, obviously unfortunately Dennis had a prior engagement, so he couldn't make it this evening, but yeah.
We can work on the side and work through the comments and set up meetings shortly after, probably our meeting on Thursday with Conservation, so we can get kind of a joint collaboration for the submittal.
Okay. We won't get too deep into it, but anybody have any general comments? Chris?
None for me.
No. Mark?
Most of that, thank you.
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
General comment is more of a congratulations. You've been here 41 years. That's awesome. And I'm really glad that you decided to stay. Thank you. And just out of curiosity, how many people do you actually employ at your location?
building itself, we have 65.
Well, that's great, so we're
And
retaining
I'm
65
gonna tell
jobs.
you, because I just went through the list, about 85% of them are within Franklin and the towns that touch Franklin.
Mhm. That's great, and I think it's a
And they all
great.
come to work
yeah.
every day, so.
I'm happy to see that you are coming to us to do an expansion rather than going somewhere else, so thank you for doing that. And I
We
think
should have probably done the expansion. Right now, we're just, you know,
So
the
if
doors
I-
are starting to bulge.
If I heard you correctly, you don't anticipate any new employees, just retaining who you have
No,
and just,
they're not gonna need it because
Yep.
basically we have enough. It's just a matter of, you know, having more space to put. Right now, the issues we have is we have a trailer truck come in,
Mhm.
it's half full. We'd like to buy a full truck,
yep.
so it comes in once, now it comes in twice, and leaves twice.
Mhm.
So if we have a full truck, we have a place to put the stuff with the expansion.
Yep.
So that's what we're running up against.
Mhm.
It's costing us more money on shipping, stuff coming in,
Mhm.
and it also creates more traffic that way, so that's why it's less.
And I agree, I think working directly with Beta is a good way to resolve a lot of the issues, but again, thank you for staying in Franklin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, Mike, you had a comment?
Mr. Chairman, just one thing, when I took a look at the plans, one thing that did jump out a little bit was where the addition is going, they're gonna be removing an existing water line there that loops around the building, provide a couple of hydrants, that's coming out, so I just wanna make sure fire's aware of that, and I'd like to just verify that that looped water system is gonna be replaced somewhere else, or what's gonna happen with that, so that was the biggest thing that I saw in the plan, so I'll just throw that out there to you.
And that's the intent. We did talk to Deputy Chief Barberry. And one of the items was, you know, the hydrant locations, and so we did talk to him. And we'll ask him to confirm the comments that Gary had in the letter as well. And once we get a more definitive understanding as far as the building expansion layout, it's gonna be, continue to be looped. That's not gonna change.
Excellent.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, well, I do appreciate the overview. I know this is just the initial, but we're gonna be getting into it a lot more, so I guess, gonna look for a continuation on this. Amy, what are we looking at for time here?
I mean, January 13th, which is, you know, it's probably pretty close. It's probably not gonna take them to be the 27th.
If we could, we'd like the 13th if possible.
Do you think you're gonna be able to get
I-
Berwick back? And
Yeah, so-
that's like a week and a half, 2 weeks away basically, to get all the
It's
comments in
holidays,
for
too.
review too. I'd like to go to the next meeting, just so you have a little more time, if you could. Unless you wanna just give us an update, I just don't wanna keep bouncing back and forth, I'd rather have some information.
Or focus on traffic on the 13th or something, and wait for drainage on the
Traffic
27th.
On the 13th,
Think that'd be possible?
would it be feasible?
What could happen, you got traffic in?
Yeah,
Would it be feasible?
No.
no? He's not available for the 13th.
No.
Okay,
I mean, it's gonna be
I don't-
tight.
I don't
because,
think so.
okay.
We're having difficulty just getting him to do, you know, he's behind on some of the things that we've already, you know, the stormwater and all of the site issues, yeah, we can take care of that. The traffic issues, they're pretty much.
So maybe a brief update where you are on the 13th, I don't think you're gonna be able to get into too
Alright.
much of it between now and
Yeah,
then.
we'll do the
But
27th. We'll
we'll have-
push it.
Yeah,
And that-
Okay.
we'll have a little more information in front of you.
Hopefully we'll
feedback
have
on-
conservation. That's gonna be the big thing to get
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
to have everything
Mhm.
comprehensive in one submittal.
Yeah, rather than piecemeal it, I'd rather have larger chunks at this point. Okay? Okay, so I make a motion to continue 124 to 126 Grove Street till January 27th, you said?
Second.
Yes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know, if you guys wanna have a conversation with me anytime, I'm more than willing to talk about it. Like, I don't, I'm not saying this, but I was.
I'm just gonna jump over. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump over to, this will be a site plan application, this is a continuation of 15 Liberty Way. I believe they're looking for a continuation, Amy,
They are, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yeah, for December 16th.
okay? I make a motion to continue 15 Liberty Way till December 16th, do I have a second?
Before you do that, can I just ask a quick question? I'm looking at, they've been before us since March. Is there any end date to when they plan on coming in? I mean, they just keep continuing, so I don't mean to say that bluntly, but.
I think we're at the end of the road.
Yeah.
Gary can kind of concise, 15 Liberty.
Okay.
They submitted their plans, they were hoping to get them on Wednesday for the meeting tonight. I didn't get them till Friday morning,
Okay.
so I said, and Gary got them today.
I just got it
I
today.
think there was just a few minor outstanding items on the drainage. They're all set with conservation, this is what's taking so long, is the whole conservation
Okay.
piece of it. But they're all set, conservation's not gonna approve them until the planning board does.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
hopefully, the 16th can be our
All right.
final
Thank you.
meeting.
Okay. So
But
did
very
you-
good question.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This will be our last items of business, would be, this will be a public hearing for the scenic road for special permit street lots, 2 and 2.1 for Spring Street. Amy, did I want to, gonna do the A and R first, or wanna do this one? Do this one first, okay. Go ahead, kind of give us a brief overview of this one, if you could, please.
Yes, good evening. So this must,
I
Oh,
want
I'm
to go to
sorry.
Amy first, that's okay.
That's all
I'm
right.
going to defer back to you. I just want to go to Amy first, and then we'll circle back around.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment from the November 18th meeting. I know that the tree warden had put a fine of $8,000 for the trees that have been removed. They have been paid. As of when I put these packets out, I had not received a list of any of the roadway improvements for Spring Street. However, something was brought to the board tonight that was submitted. And they have resubmitted the A&R plan as well. Let me get to that.
Good, thank you. I'll go to the applicant, if you want to just introduce yourselves for the record, please, and then you're going.
yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. Michael Doherty, Dugan, Cannon, Raymond, and Weil. With me is Anthony Marinella from Lewis Street Realty, and Mike Dean, our engineer. I think you want to talk about the scenic road first, or do you want to talk about the A&R first?
They're basically tied together, so let's do the scenic road first, if everybody's agreeable to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Please.
The engineer can give a more detailed report if you'd like, but just the overview would be that the town, town DPW and the fire asked for a hammerhead turnaround, which we've shown on the plan. That is why we need the new scenic road approval, because that calls for 4 trees coming down. Then there are new trees being put up, which is part of the mitigation. 4 trees down, 4 new trees being planted. In addition, the town asked for an additional 4 inches of crushed stone on the road. My understanding is that there have been extensive discussions with DPW. They want the road to stay a gravel road, and that's also shown on the plan. So Amy's right, there was a narrative given today of those items, but those items are on the plan and have it on the plan. So, Mike's an engineer, he can talk about that in greater detail if you'd like him to.
If you could, please.
Sure. So the plan that was submitted for the scenic road, along with the application for the scenic road, there's the existing Spring Street is shown here. I guess this isn't working. Spring Street is shown here, and as you had just mentioned, they're tied together with the A&R. So the A&R, that's how this all comes together. The 3 lots are shown here. This is the A&R, so this shows the 3 lots that's being proposed. I'll jump back to the scenic road since we're on it. So there's lots 1, 2, and 3, Spring Street shown here. And as we have discussed to some degree, that the lots meet the minimum zoning, frontage, area, things of that nature. So So those are the 3 lots that are tied together. Once again, Spring Street, so before the submittal for the scenic road application, which is my understanding that submittal was for the tree removals, the tree removal within Spring Street, within the layout, that's what the application, that's how the application reads, removal of trees within the layout and/or stone wall, so we're into the category of removing trees. I think we all have an understanding that the work took place prior to the application being filed. Work did take place in Spring Street. So at that time, the submittal for the scenic road application was for the removal of the 4 trees shown here at the end, this is where the proposed turnaround is located. And that was through, over the summer, working with DPW, submitting the existing conditions plan, working with them, and feedback from departments within the town. That's what spurred the turnaround. And then that's just blown up at a bigger scale here, so once they move to actually install it. So the 4 trees that are shown within the layout are shown here. As the application and the requirement is for mitigation, is shown 4 proposed trees along here, which, we could probably refine those 4 trees being proposed, because that's, they read the DPW, or the tree warden. And then the first hearing, the tree warden had his public hearing here as well. And then in his final letter, he talks about plantings, and I'm not sure if he wants those 4 trees there or not, but we can certainly work through that.
Good, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Okay. I'll go to the board, I guess. I think they're just jointly together, so I'll go to the board first for any comments or questions with this one. Jay?
I just had an interesting observation. I'm looking at the town's scenic road map here, and this part of Spring Street isn't on it. It's just an observation. That's all I have to offer, so I will.
I guess to follow along on that comment, this is, I know we're kind of intermixing topics here between the A&R and the scenic road. As far as the A&R plan is concerned, have you submitted the documentation from the town that shows that this is an accepted road in its entirety? The whole of Spring Street, even the part where you cut down the trees through conservation area that wasn't developed as a road? Do you have documentation showing that that is indeed an accepted roadway by the town? Can you prove that?
It's a public way as far as that I know,
Do you
but
have that documentation that has been accepted by the town?
Legal documentation stating
Which is,
registry of deeds or whatever, town acceptance of roads, et cetera.
Or the, the relevant town act that voted it to be an
yeah,
accepted
it would have to roadway. You would have to it might not be at the registry, you'd have to pull that out of the archives from the.
I'd like to
the
see
town.
that, because I don't believe that the entirety of Spring Street is an accepted roadway by the town. And then going forward, my question to Mike is, will the town be maintaining this portion of the road that's being designated and called a public road? Because there's no signage, it's not to town standards, there's no streetlights, there's no anything that shows that this road is going to be held to the same standards we hold every other road that has frontage on.
Through the chair, so in response to the acceptance of Spring Street, it is, it was listed on one of the original streets that were accepted, I think it was the April 4th town meeting in 1870. It was a whole list of streets, so that was the initial acceptance. And Spring Street was listed as from Washington Street to Central Street, or West Central Street. So at that time, the whole thing was acknowledged as being a town road. As far as maintenance, we would continue, we maintain the gravel portion of Spring Street now. This extension with the new gravel that was put down, we would be maintaining that also, plowing that. And that was one of the reasons why we asked for the bump out at the end, to have that, so for plow trucks and or trash trucks, whatever the case may be, has a place to turn around there, so that was the intent.
I still would like to see that documentation showing that that entirety of Spring Street is an accepted town road, because, I mean, it wasn't developed, abandoned, essentially, as a walking path. So I'm not entirely sure how you can go from the portion of Spring Street that is considered a public road in Franklin, to a portion since the 18th whatevers, hasn't been developed and not utilized. And the only reason you can actually have access now is because you went in on town property and cut down trees to provide yourself access. What did you do to go through Concom? Anything?
I didn't have to do Concom.
You didn't have any wetlands issues?
On the lots, not on the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I could expand upon the conservation issue, we have had, we're going through permitting for lots 1 through 3, and the conservation agent did have some concerns, or she voiced that there was some potential concerns that she had. We've met out on the site, we've walked it, and at the last meeting, she told the commission that she has no more concerns. With respect to these, we're filing for the individual lots, but there are no issues there are no issues or concerns with the improvements in Spring Street.
Good, because I'm just gonna go to the saying that, you know, if something smells funny, it's funny, and to me, this stinks. So, that's all I'm gonna say.
May I just respond to that?
Let me go to the
Sure.
board and we'll circle back around. Mark?
I also, thank you, Mr. Chairman, I also concur with Beth. It's like we put the cart before the horse. What would be, I'm not being new to the board that long, what would be the proper procedure that the applicant would have to do to alter a public way?
Well, you'd have to get legal authority to enter it.
The 81G process.
And was that done?
No.
No,
So all this was done illegally, just to
Okay.
set the record straight.
All right, so,
This wasn't created by the planning board, this was created by the applicant, plowing 800 to 1,000 feet of road down a town property. Private property, that is, without any approvals.
so
And
in
it was a
addition to
year
Beth-
ago, mind you.
Yeah, okay, so in addition to Beth's concern, I mean, are we opening ourselves to a legal issue where the town did not actually do the work, and it's a third party, where if someone were on whatever, up there, and something happened, would the town be liable at some point? Are we opening ourselves to some kind of
Potentially
liability?
could, because it was just a pathway at one time.
So that would be
So
my
if some
concern.
kid goes flying up there on an ATV or motorcycle and wipes out, potentially the town of Franklin could be held liable in a
That-
lawsuit.
That would be my concern.
Go ahead, Jeff?
All right, so I'd like to say first and foremost, I am not against any sort of development anywhere, as long as we're doing everything according to chapter 81. We're good with chapter 81, we're good with me. You gotta open a road, you gotta open a road. I don't open roads all day long. So I've been trying to find this act, because I was forwarded notes from it, but that doesn't mean anything. And I've been looking through everything possible. I mean, I have so many tabs open here on like road inventories, and I'm just going to share with everyone what I found through a number of resources that delve into the town's road resources. So, from the town's pavement management report this year, Spring Street, there's only 2 listed sections, and they stop 2,100 feet off of Washington Street. So that's actually south of Cochrane. So that's not a definitive list on things in town, but it's obviously as close to our road inventory as we can get. The scenic road bylaw does not seem to reference anything on Spring Street north of, I would assume that's Cochrane in there, whatever little street that is in there. And then going over to Mass DOT, so I assume this is the data that you guys use for Chapter 90. Spring Street is only listed as a public road for 0.4 miles. This is what Mass DOT has in their road inventory as accepted public road for 0.4 miles north of Washington Street. And then when you flip over to what Mass DOT describes as an unaccepted public road, Spring Street is on there from that point forward. I don't have access to April 4th, 1870, so I don't know what that says. I don't know any of the legislative stuff that's happened in between there, but Mass DOT says everything north of 0.4 miles north of Washington Street is unaccepted. So, if we have to go through the 81G process and open the road, let's do it. Like, let's build these houses. I just want to make sure everything is, ducks in a row. So, because as it looks, the
wanna-
acceptability of the acceptance or not of this road is gray to me.
I agree with Jay. I think I'm not opposed to the lots being done. I want it done the right way, and this is not at all the right way, and that's what's bothering me.
And actually, you know, just, everybody knows, we're trying to change it so everybody follows the same rules and regs, treat everybody equally and fairly. For this one to go in the way it's been going in, it's not the way this board wants to take it. It is not acceptable. I'm okay with the lots, I just want the road built according to the town's regulations. But I also want proof that that's an accepted road. And I'm gonna ask our town attorney to do some homework into it too, to prove that that section of road is actually a town accepted road. It could be just an old paper road, we have many of them in the town. That triggers a legal set. You have two different scenarios here. You basically have the three lots, the construction of the road, or the road is removed and it's put back to its original state. So you get a couple different options there, because you went in on that property illegally. So potentially, this board can bring legal action to get that put back to its original state, because you never had legal right to go and destroy the property. So there's some work that needs to be done here, but we're gonna look for, as Beth said, legal documentation, whether it's through the registry of deeds or whatever it may be, to show that this section of road is actually town accepted road by the town of Franklin, and it was utilized. And I'm gonna ask our town attorney, Mark Sorrell, do the same process to make sure we have all the proper information in front of us before we do anything. To be fair to everybody. Gentleman right there sitting in the front row seat, he followed the process, he's getting his 2 lots. To be fair, we're gonna treat you guys the same way. You have to take the due diligence and do it correctly. Okay? So, Jen, I don't know if you have any questions, but we want it done correctly, that's all. We'll work with you, but we want it done correctly. And we're not against the 3 lots, it's about the whole approach. And it's about not putting a road in. We can't even maintain roads that we have in town, let alone 1,000 feet of gravel road. Florence Street, perfect example. It's all beat up. We don't even have the money to maintain that. Why should the town of Franklin accept a section of road that's gonna beat the trucks, school buses, DPW, trash removal, everything? We gotta make it so it's a safe means of entry and exit. Fire department, everybody. Okay, so I think that's the road we gotta take. I think there's some homework that needs to be done on the legal end, and I think we can work through this part. It's gonna be a joint venture.
Mike, can I fire a few questions at you? Like, please. Do we have an official map?
An official map?
Yes, like,
Street map.
do we have an official street map? Like Worcester, we've got an official street
We do.
map.
Street acceptance map.
There's probably something on record. I mean, Kate maintains all the GIS and everything, so the maps we produce in-house, but it's something that the council actually voted on. I'm
Yeah, it
not
has to be
sure if-
council ratified.
I don't know if there was a map that the council actually voted on as far as that goes. I know with the water and the sewer extensions, they have done that, and they approve extensions over time. With the roads, I don't know if there was a specific road like that, road map like that.
Okay, I'm just trying to,
I was trying to search for something.
yeah, try to pull up every
Couldn't find
possible
anything.
place where any of this information might be located, because going back to 1870 can,
It's out there.
yeah. Well, I mean,
But it's up to these people to prove to us what they're doing is legal in terms of access, road, et cetera. And we're not gonna make a decision without having the proper information in front of us. And we're gonna treat these guys equally and fairly as if we treat everybody else. And that's what our agenda is. So I guess my question is, how much time do you think it's gonna take for you to do some legal research on some of the information we're looking for? And we're gonna look for Mark Sorrell, our town attorney, to do some as well.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just respond to a lot of that.
Sure.
So certainly, we very well understand that, you know, mistakes were made going, you know, putting this road in, and should have, we think, we're, talk about this, get what we're doing now, the scenic road. But there was a hearing, a joint hearing with the tree warden and this board, where an $8,000 fine was levied, and that's been paid. So the,
That was just for the damage that was done. That's a bond for something that you did on town-owned property, not your own private property. It's just for town-owned property. Right.
well, it's a fine, it's not a bond, it's not money he's ever gonna get back. Was a fine.
Correct.
It was a penalty that was paid. And one of the core principles of our law, as it's been since our country's founding, is that there's a hearing when someone has done something wrong. There's a hearing and a penalty, and then that is done. And that's done. I understand and respect this board in what it's trying to do with regard to subdivisions. And everything you said makes perfect sense for under the subdivision control. It makes perfect sense. We are not here seeking approval of a subdivision. We have two items before you. Well, one is, I think all of your experience would be very simple. When someone comes for an approval not required law in the AMP, it's usually, as it was on your agenda, under general business, and it's approved. And we ask that be approved because we think it's appropriate. I understand the last meeting you wanted to touch with legal counsel. I believe that you did. I mean, in the agenda, the Attorney Sorrell's memo is part of the public record now. So respectfully, while I do understand the concerns that you have, the issue before you on 81P, I think that your obligation is to sign that. You will make your own decisions, and I respect that, but that is what I'm telling you is my understanding of the law.
But in order to meet an A&R, there's certain criteria. It's labeled as A, B, and C, and it's my interpretation that you don't meet the A&R under basically A, B, and C, under the regulation.
Yeah.
So that's why I, first and foremost, make sure it's legal to get up there, make sure it's an accepted road with proof of paperwork from whatever, and I want the town to do their own due diligence paperwork, and then we're gonna move it forward. But the A&Rs, in my opinion, these three lots do not meet it, because the existing cart path was not a means of safe entry, egress, etc., for a road to be utilized.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that you've set out your position, Miriam, and I appreciate that, and I respect it. Well, let me tell you my perspective is, you did ask the town engineer, who explained his understanding of the status of the law, that this is a public way. It's shown as a public way, and I know you've got an
But it
opinion.
may not be legally. That's why I want the paperwork to show.
I think it's very simple. I mean, you can produce the paperwork that shows that it's a public way for its entirety, then we have no issues. Then we move forward, we approve the A&R. It's that simple. If you can't provide that documentation, then it's not a public way, and you don't have the right to develop those lots through the A&R process. So find the answer, provide it to us, and we're good to go. It's simple.
So
We're not saying no, we just want you to do your due diligence, and we want the town staff to do theirs. We can all make an educated decision.
And I
That's all.
believe it's stated in our application or in our subdivision bylaws here, the process is that it is up to the applicant to provide the documentation to show us that you have the legal rights to do this. We have not received that documentation, so.
I would suggest to you that I am personally unaware of another applicant seeking approval of an A&R lot, having that request made of them in this town.
Because it hasn't been an issue. It's cut and dry, it's clear. This is not clear that this portion of the public road is a public road, or the road is a public road. It's not clear.
And the criteria states that it has to be a safe means of entry, exit, etc. Bench Street is a perfect example. Public road, has all the correct application that feeds it to to make it accurately. So, I don't wanna get into it too much tonight. I would just like everybody to do their homework, and we can reconvene. And, I'm not saying no, we want it done, and we want everybody to do what everybody else is asked to do moving forward, as an example. And if it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of time.
Mr. Chairman, if the issue is this a public way, it's going to be, I would hope that we could all agree that that is going to be determined by a piece of paper someplace. So we can do that. I don't think we need to come back. I think we can do that.
We want you back because we still have the idea of plowing through town land without the right. So that's just a whole other separate issue. So you gotta understand where we're coming from. This was done incorrectly from get-go. I don't know who gave Tony the okay to do any of this work. It was not this board. And it's a shame it got to this point, but we wanna make it right. We wanna make sure that everybody can move forward, but we're gonna treat everybody equally and fairly, because we're doing it to everybody else. So, do some homework, come back to us. We're willing to listen, and we'll take it from there.
I think I understand your position, Mr. Chairman. I respectfully suggest that you aren't treating us the same on the 81P. But let's put that aside. I think you understand us, we understand you. Anything on that?
I know.
On the scenic road application, we'd ask the board to approve that.
No, I'm gonna keep them tied together, because one relies on the other. You know what, we're working with you. I just wanna make sure that, I don't wanna release one, and I also hold myself else. I wanna tie them together, because they're both working together.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment, if you don't mind?
Yeah,
Sure.
respectfully, I think that,
I
think that we disagree.
would say that the two are separate issues. An A&R and the Spring Street Scenic Road Permit. Well, I don't exactly agree that this was done properly for the scenic road permit at all in the slightest. The DPW, as you indicated, has handed down the fee. It's $8,000, which to me is just a slap on the wrist for this developer. I don't think it's enough, but I can't do anything about that. That's been decided. So as far as the scenic road permit is concerned, I don't disagree, Mr. Chairman, that I'd love to see both of them remain open, but in the instance of the scenic road, I think they're completely separate issues that if we have to vote on the scenic road, we have to vote. I get that.
Jay?
I'd like to offer this. I don't think you're on a scenic road. But if you're not on a scenic road, you're also not on an accepted road, so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Spring
Right.
Street is.
I do not think it's I do not think the portion of Spring Street that we are discussing
Yep.
is an accepted road nor a scenic road.
Because it
I
doesn't
don't think it's
exist.
either. And I just went up to, I dug a little deeper into DOT,
Mhm.
right? I dug a little deeper into DOT here, and it's, I confirmed that the town, according to its chapter 90 calculations, does not consider anything north of 2,400 feet off of Washington Street to be a public way. So at least if you could add that to our calculation, I'd show we like the road miles,
So-
Mike.
So leaving it open maybe is a good idea.
Yeah, I
think-
there's so much
don't wanna
gray
close
stuff
it
here.
Because it may put us in a corner, may put these guys in a corner too. Look, we're gonna be upfront about it. I think we just continue it, we do some homework on it, and we come back to it.
I'd like to offer that you might have to pay the $8,000 fine, because I don't know if you're on
No,
a
I
scenic
believe we
road.
already.
It's already paid.
Right?
I mean,
So,
That's, get
It
it,
just
get the,
brings home property.
Yeah.
but it, I mean, it was on the scenic
I
road
think-
only.
I think, let's see if you have the legal access to get up there, and we take it from there. All right? We're not against it, we just want it done correctly. So, Amy, what do you think in terms of time? How long do you think it'll take to pick up information from Mark and the applicants? 2 weeks?
Not really sure how long it will take. I don't know where they're gonna go for it, I mean, you
That's
can
just
start.
as an update. if
Whether or
that's
not
okay.
this is a public road will be very quickly determined, because it either is or isn't.
Mhm.
And, you know, obviously, you know, Tony's been around for a long time. You know, he doesn't just do things willy-nilly. I mean, and clearly, part of the professional staff of the town thought this was a scenic road. That's a town designation, it's not a state designation. And believed that this is a public way. But,
So,
whether or not, but this should be your next meeting, we should know.
that's what I'm saying, so if
Okay.
you can do your homework, town attorney can do his homework, we can come back in 2 weeks. You can come back with an update. or
There
you
won't
may
be
come
one,
back
2 weeks, January 13th.
January 13th, and you can come back with, oh boy, this isn't our way of getting up there per se. I just wanna make sure we do it right. All right,
Okay.
and I appreciate it,
We
and
need an extension for the A and R, so
Yeah.
it's put back
Yeah.
on the
just
agenda.
put in for an extension for the, okay? Okay.
Great.
So we'll make a motion to continue Spring Street lots 2 and 2.1 and the 81P A&R Spring Street to January 13th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Can the
you.
applicant grant you an extension?
Yeah, they're gonna give us one, yeah. Okay? Now, general business. A real quick, update. I know Amy was looking for some feedback from us for the master plan. I know quite a bit to consume for everybody. Anybody have any serious concerns and thoughts? 'Cause I do.
I do too.
So, I guess, throw a couple out there, or, I mean, we just wanna read it out, because they're gonna come back to us,
Go.
what, January, I believe, Amy?
Yeah,
The
do you,
presentation?
if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I can give a quick update.
Sure.
And can elaborate if I missed
Yeah,
anything.
based on all our comments
Um,
back to you, but,
Yep, so we just went through the whole public hearing process, of gathering comments from the public, from staff, from everybody. They met last week on Wednesday night and we gathered all the comments that came in. Each subcommittee is gonna go back and review the comments and then, provide, a list of the comments that they are going to implement and the comments that they may not implement. And I will have that list separately from the actual final draft to know what's going on. And then at the end of January, actually it's the January 27th meeting, we'd like to have a public hearing for the planning board, anticipation for the plan to be accepted by the planning board. I will have something to you prior to that, so you can obviously review it. It is online right now. The draft is online, it's available. If you go under boards and committees, there's master plan update committee. The final draft is right there. Mainly, I think I said this before, is really the implementation plan. That's the hard goals and everything of the plan. That's what the next 10, 15, 20 years of what is expected out of, a lot of it comes down to staff. You guys would see some zoning changes, some of it, some recommendations towards some of what we do as a planning board. And some may work out and some may not work out. So I think it's just important to take some time to review it when you can. It's a lot of information, I understand that. I think I printed it for you, Greg, it was like 35 pages, the implementation plan. I mean, the entire plan itself with maps, appendixes, addendums, all that is 238, which, you know, a lot of it starts with the whole overview of the town. So, I mean, a lot of that you don't really need to get into, but it's mainly the implementation plan, which is towards the back of the plan, that we'd like feedback to prior to getting to the end of January. I do want to say our committee of 13 people have been working on this for 18 months now. been meeting nonstop, like any night that the town council didn't have a Wednesday night meeting, we met on the Wednesday nights. Then on top of that, we had 5 subcommittees, and each of them met in between all those meetings. So not only did they come to the master plan meetings, they had their own subcommittee meetings that they were meeting. We did a lot of public outreach. They were at, oh gosh, so they did one at Dean College, they did one at the library, they've been to the senior center. We did another one, Jen. What was the I think the very first one, we had one, I can't remember. Did we, you guys did, I think you did, not Harvest, I think you guys did Strawberry Stroll at the very beginning.
Yeah, we definitely did one of those.
You did Strawberry Stroll.
There's also like random, like smaller subcommittee.
Yeah, a lot of.
Like biking tour.
Yeah, the biking tour. So they've been out and about in the community. You know, you think we had a lot of feedback. We definitely do have a lot of feedback. You always want more, but it doesn't always happen that way. But they've been out and about for 18 months, really promoting this plan and sharing it and taking in feedback, and very excited to get to this point, because it's been a long time coming, and a lot of time and a lot of dedication and a lot of effort put into it. So that is definitely finally coming this way. You know, it's been on my plate as well for 18 months, and Jen's.
Yeah, I know the feeling when I was on the last one. So.
And our prior board member,
Rick.
Rick Power, still part of it, yep. Rick Power is still a very active member, he's actually heading the housing and economic, he's chair of that subcommittee, so we just really look forward to gathering some final feedback and hoping to see this board see it through and accept it.
So I guess the next step, I think, I don't know if everybody kind of gave Amy a bullet list of items, like I unfortunately shot her like 18 of them. I thought they were important, so I just, should we set aside some time in another meeting just specifically for us to voice, so you can kind of compile this, or what do you want to do? How do you want to approach it, so they get some information prior to coming to us, so they know what our feelings
So
are?
you provided them our comments, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it provide the actual like, Beth did provide actual comments, like a list.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
No, and that's fine. If you even provide just a bullet list, even if it's just an email to me, it doesn't have to be anything formal. That's actually, most of the comments have come to me in just in bullet lists. It doesn't have to be anything formal. And it does help if you refer to what section or, you know, what you're talking about, so you know. I know that come January 27th, the master plan committee plans to come in and do a short presentation and to present to the board and take in any questions as well. So that is part of that night. Our next meeting, which anyone's welcome to attend, I think it's January 14th. Is that a Wednesday night?
That might be a Tuesday,
Is that a Tuesday?
because our meeting's the 13th.
Oh, so I think we're meeting, then we would be meeting the 15th? Why did I think that, we didn't pick Tuesday night, did we? I'm not sure, I gotta look back, I gotta look back at what day, but there is one in the middle of January that the master plan committee is meeting, and anyone's welcome to attend, because that'll be like the final.
There's nothing on the
comment time.
calendar yet.
No, yeah, I don't have it on the calendar yet. Comments?
Well,
So
thanks.
we're holding it in until the actual
So-
formal public hearing for it?
I just wasn't sure if they got some of the comments and responses from us, that's all. But
Yes, they did.
So we really, just wait for them and go from there? Okay, just wanna make sure everybody's kind of gathered their information and given it to us. So, anybody else have any, comments, questions? No? Make a motion to adjourn then?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.